As the US and India relations remain strained over President Trump's 50% tariff on Indian goods, differing views are now emerging from Trump's camp as India fiercely safeguards its economic interests. US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick expects India to return to trade negotiations with the US within a month or two, saying sorry and attempting to make a deal with President Trump. Lutnick emphasized the US as a significant consumer market, stating that India needs to decide whether to align with Russia and China through BRICS or support the United States. Lutnick told Bloomberg, and I quote, "If you want to be the bridge between Russia and China, go be it. But either support the dollar, support the United States of America, support your biggest client, or pay 50% tariffs." He also dismissed Prime Minister Modi's recent meetings with Chinese and Russian presidents at the SCO summit as mere bravado, arguing that such gestures cannot substitute for economic reality. Lutnick drew parallels with Canada's experience, where retaliatory tariffs led to negative economic consequences, including a 1.6% decline in GDP and rising unemployment. He expects India to face similar economic pressures, ultimately forcing it to seek accommodation with the US. President Trump's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, has been the most vocal defender of the tariffs. Navarro has targeted India repeatedly over buying Russian oil, accusing it of funding Putin's war machine. In his latest post, he has claimed that India has the highest tariffs costing US jobs. But on the other hand, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has taken a more positive approach. According to a report, Rubio and US Trade Representative Jamieson Greer suggested a trade deal to Trump, which included India reducing its tariffs on US goods. However, Trump rejected the deal, demanding India to scale back its Russian oil purchases. Earlier in a post on the US Embassy's X handle, Rubio had hailed the relationship with India. The post, which came as Prime Minister was attending the SCO summit, stated that the India-US friendship propels the people of the two nations forward. The embassy has urged the people to follow the hashtag US-India Forward for our people to celebrate their ties. As members of the Trump administration presented different views on the fallout of US tariffs on India, Trump, speaking at the Oval, praised Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi but voiced disapproval of New Delhi's current energy ties with Moscow. He assured that India and the United States share a special relationship despite occasional disagreements.
I always will. I'll always be friends with Modi. He's great. Prime Minister, he's great. I'll always be friends, but I just don't like what he's doing at this particular moment. But India and the United States have a special relationship. There's nothing to worry about. We just have moments on occasion.
Taking note of Trump's statement in a post on X, the Prime Minister of India said that he deeply appreciated Trump's sentiments and positive assessment of their ties, adding that both countries have a very positive and forward-looking comprehensive and global strategic partnership. Retired Captain Alok Bansal is the Director of India Foundation, Executive Director of South Asian Institute for Strategic Affairs, SAISA. Captain Bansal is now joining us from New Delhi. Welcome, sir, and thank you very much for your time. Yesterday, Trump said India lost to China and Russia, then changed tone to these are occasional disagreements with India. I have no problem with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. That is according to President Trump. Considering the president changes his words instantaneously, what should one read into that?
See, firstly, we need to be very clear that as far as India and US are concerned, our relations are driven by common values, the common values of democracy, common values of pluralism, and that is bolstered by the rising Indian diaspora. So irrespective of which administration comes to power, in the long term, India-US relations are bound to converge. Having said that, President Trump behaves less like a politician or a visionary and more like a real estate businessman. So he feels that people can be pressurized into making some sort of deals and concessions. And as a result, this unilateral tariff war that's been unleashed with India, it has actually burned bridges for some time, actually. There is no doubt about it. And unlike Occidental societies, Oriental societies cannot make frequent flip-flops. Here, people are driven more by emotions, sentiments, etc. So you will find that the Oriental societies, the change is slow and steady. Unlike Occidental societies, where you can make a statement yesterday, you can make another statement today, and then God knows what you are going to say tomorrow. And at this point of time, the US administrative policies are being driven only by one individual. I think both Pentagon and State Department, their advice has got no meaning. And to the best of my knowledge, both these institutions are recommending good relations with India. But of course, trade mandarins as well as President Trump have declared this unilateral tariff, which most Indians are difficult to comprehend or understand, because if China is the main threat, as he said yesterday in his Truth Social post that India and Russia are lost to China, then why China's tariffs on China are less than that of India, especially when China is importing more Russian oil than India. An import of Indian Russian oil was actually at the behest of US at one point of time, because the US wanted the global oil prices to remain subdued. If Russian oil goes completely out of the market, the oil prices will shoot through the sky. And that is again not good for US economy. So I think one needs to wait and watch. And I think, as I said, maybe there may be aberrations, but India-US relations are bound to grow. And these threatening voices that are coming from Navarro and Lutnick, etc., I think need not be given due cognizance.
Captain Bansal, alternatives to the US have been sparred. We have seen that through the BRICS and the SEO. How do you think that has changed for countries, or like the Commerce Secretary called them, clients doing business with America, including India?
See, there is no doubt that China, if you include Hong Kong, Macau, continues to be one of the largest trading partners of India. And we need tranquility along our borders for India to grow, China to grow. And I think the recent SCO summit exhibited a certain amount of bonhomie amongst Russian president, Chinese leader, and Indian prime minister. Along with that, SCO also, though SCO is primarily a security initiative, it talked of trade mechanisms where countries could deal with their currencies or different alternative mechanisms. I think that has to some extent unraveled US. But US continues to be India's largest export destination. So, it will continue to be a major issue for India. And I think that is what India will have to watch. So India will continue negotiations with the United States, but at the same time, India would and should continue improving its relations with China and Russia. And recent events have very clearly highlighted that India's policy of strategic autonomy, which India has always cherished, is the
I seem to have lost Mr. Alok Bansal, but if you get this, thank you very much for talking to WION World is One today.